Hi guys, welcome to my little list of the top 5 Halloween movies that get me really pumped up and excited for Halloween. Obviously, Halloween, there aren't as many films for this season as there are things like Christmas. Christmas, you could do a massive countdown, like top 20, top 30 if you wanted to, but Halloween it's a bit more specific. So, I wanted to do a top 5 because I think five's probably the ones that really get me going the most. I mean, the other ones sort of come and go. You got a few there. I'll mention some of those honorable mentions later, but the ones I really want to concentrate on are these top 5. So here are my top 5 greatest Halloween movies to get me all pumped up for the season. If you like this video, like and subscribe at the end, and leave a comment. Let me know what you think of this, what I say in a minute. Anyway, let's just crack on. Many people probably haven't heard of Ghostwatch. It was a made-for-TV, I guess you call it a movie, in 1992, I believe, or was it 93? 92 or 93. I know I was a kid at the time. I watched this and was traumatised. So traumatised that I purposely taped over, because my mum had taped it off the telly, I taped it over it, because I definitely didn't want to see it again, and I replaced it with Who Framed Roger Rabbit, which to this day I don't think my mum actually knows it was me that did that. But yeah, it was me. I did it on purpose because I was terrified of that film. But the reason I was terrified is because we didn't think it was a film when it first aired. What the BBC did when they aired it was very clever. They basically said it was a paranormal investigation to be conducted live for the first time ever, live on Halloween night. So everyone sat down to watch this paranormal investigation that started off quite innocent and tame. They used broadcasters, very reliable broadcasters, like Sarah Green and the legend that is Michael Parkinson, to host this show. So everyone trusted them. No one could believe Michael Parkinson would take part in something that would be almost like a trick on Halloween night. So everyone believed it. Everyone that watched it was believing it. Everyone was sucked into it. And sadly, it caused a lot of trouble because once this thing finished, after the mayhem at the end of it, people complained like crazy to the BBC. There was so many complaints. There was even like rumours of like bad things happening in people's houses because of this film, people getting PTSD and things like that, which probably could have happened because this was a terrifying thing that they did, but fantastic. Watching it back now, even now, I'm 42 and I'm watching this thing back and I got goosebumps. You get goosebumps when you see the ghost, you get goosebumps when you catch a glimpse of the ghost. So basically, what is Ghostwatch? As I said, it was a live TV broadcast. It was very much based on the Enfield hauntings, the thing they sort of made the Conjuring 2 about, the true story behind that. It was based on the true story behind that. It was based on the Enfield hauntings. Two girls and their mum living in a house terrorised by a ghost. The ghost is called Pipes. You find his backstory as the show goes on, and it is a really good backstory. I don't want to go into spoilers. That's the thing. I really don't want to spoil these things for you. I want you to sort of hear how I felt about these things, and then go and watch them yourself. So yeah, what they do very cleverly when it comes to the ghosts is they'll hide him in places that you sort of see it, but you don't see it. You see it at the corner of your eye as they're sort of moving the camera around the house, and you'll see a reflection in the window here and there. And as soon as you see it, you go cold. I remember seeing a reflection in the window of this ghost, and no one else in my family did. And I went, "Did you see that?" And everyone was like, "No." And that made me go cold. Like a shiver went down my back, and I was absolutely terrified. I thought, "Oh my god, I've seen it. No one else has." That's what this TV show did really well. They did a few tricks along the way where they show you something and then they show you it again. And if we lived in this day and age where we had Sky Plus or recordable TV, you just go back and have a look when you just go back. But this is back in like 92 and we didn't have that. We literally had live and then you just watched it and then that's what you saw. And they used that fact very, very well in this show. I keep calling it a show, but it's really I don't know what it is. But it's definitely worth getting hold of. If you can find it somewhere, they do it on Amazon. They've got a DVD on Amazon for the UK. I know some people in America have struggled trying to get hold of it. It was on Shudder for a while, but now I think it's been taken down. I know they're releasing a special anniversary edition, so it might be worth trying to get hold of that. That's coming out at the end of this Halloween actually. That comes out. But yeah, I've got it on DVD. I bought it a while ago because once this was shown in the UK, it never was shown again for 10 years. And the only way you can see it after 10 years was they brought out a DVD for another anniversary of it. So literally it was 10 years of not being on telly. The only way you could see this is if someone had taped it at the time and people still had the videotapes. It's the only way you can see this thing. Um, it is one of the most remarkable things I've ever seen. I can liken it to what happened in America's War of the Worlds when that radio broadcast went out and terrified a lot of Americans, where people went running in the streets screaming because they thought aliens were attacking. It was very much like that. People were ringing up the BBC and going mental. There's a show we have in the UK called Points of View, and that show was sort of like people talking about what they've seen on the BBC, what they like, what they didn't like. Well, Points of View was flooded with messages. I'll never forget there was one person on there screaming about how dare the BBC do this? The BBC have purposely tried to traumatise everyone. How dare they? Like real anger at this show. Um, yeah, to make something that believable was genius. Definitely watch Ghostwatch. It's worth a watch. Try and find it. You will not be disappointed. Even now, it's a bit dated, but still, oh my god, it's genius work of art. If you're gonna watch it with someone, like I decided to watch it with my two stepchildren who'd never heard of it, and I decided to do it the same way I got told about it. I told them it was a paranormal investigation that happened in the 90s. I put it on. Halfway through, I had to stop the DVD and tell them it was all fake because they started to get very, very scared. And I had to tell them it was fake, so I didn't want to traumatise them. I didn't want them to write over my DVD with Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Anyway, on to number 4. So yeah, you're probably shocked at number 4. E.T. the Extraterrestrial, the Steven Spielberg massive hit. It's probably on no one else's Halloween top list at all. But it's on mine because it was the first time I experienced what Halloween was in America when I watched that. Like seeing the kids all running around, because you've got to remember this film does actually take place at Halloween. When they try and get E.T. to the woods, I mean, I'm doing spoilers a bit here, but I'm guessing you've probably seen E.T. If you haven't, I'm very sorry, but you have to watch E.T. It's one of the most iconic legendary films of all time. So yeah, so to get E.T. to the forest so he can call back to his home planet, they dress him up in a sheet because they know they can sort of get him out because it's Halloween. Everyone's out trick or treating, they're all dressed up, so you can put a sheet over him, pretend he's a ghost, and he goes walking off. And that was my first glimpse at the America Halloween, and it was a lot better than my Halloween, because my Halloween when I was a kid was a bit crap. It was, I mean, because we did Halloween in the UK, but we didn't do it to the extent that America's done it. We are starting to now, and I'm very pleased about that, and I'm really, really glad that we're getting there. But yeah, Halloween in America just looked phenomenal, and that's why I get pumped up, so pumped up for this film during Halloween. I do often throw on in the October season. I'll generally put E.T. on because it gives me that Halloween vibe. But yeah, E.T. is a story about a young boy who befriends an alien after he finds it in his back garden, and then decides to help it try and contact its home planet so they can come and rescue him. It is a very sad story. If you haven't seen it, you're going to cry your eyes out. I think majority of people generally cry their eyes out when they watch E.T. It's such a film full of heart and love and kindness, and it's kind of like, it's kind of what you want from, it's that childhood innocence, like children, like the whole thing, like, I don't want to get political, but with things like racism, they say children don't see that. It comes with adulthood and what you get taught by other adults around you, that you become like that way of thinking. And this kind of shows that, because this boy meets an alien. Instead of like the adults in the movie, they freak out, they want to capture it and do things to it. This kid like do things like experiment. I don't mean do, but anyway. They just want to do like they just want to capture this thing and experiment on it and do this horrible stuff to it. But the boy just wants to be its friend, and it's just such a lovely thing. And I think that we need a lot more of that in the world. Just that childlike way of thinking. Because to be honest, when we become adults, we kind of ruin a lot of stuff. But yeah, definitely get out and watch E.T. I said it will pump you up for Halloween as well as make you cry, and it's a fantastic movie anyway. So E.T. On to number 3. Trick or Treat. This is a treat. I had no idea this movie existed until only a few years ago, and it's already jumped its way into my top 3. Yeah, made it to number 3. Trick or Treat is an anthology movie, which means it has a few different stories in it that are kind of linked together. It takes place in one town on one Halloween night. So a lot of the characters sort of jump from one story to another, and you sort of see them in the background, or you sort of see them sort of lurking around. The film is actually shot out of like chronological order, so you get one story that happens before another story. It's kind of like Pulp Fiction in that sort of way, where the stories don't run in chronological order, they sort of bounce around a bit. But this is where you get to see some of the characters from previous stories or later stories sort of jump in and out. one of the central characters in it, a guy called Sam, who's this little kid who looks like a trick-or-treater. He's got a big head with a Hessian sack over it, and he's like pure evil as well. But he's this cutest little thing, and he has become like a symbol of Halloween. I know in a lot of the American shops they have Sam as a figure, sort of much like the Jackies from Nightmare Before Christmas. This sort of like merchandising icon. And like recently, since this film has picked up steam, because when this film came out, no one really watched it at the cinema. It's only since it came out on like DVD that it became huge. And this happens a lot with horror movies. It's a big horror movie trope where a horror movie will come out at the cinema, no one will really watch it, but they'll start picking up steam on like DVD and stuff, or on video, like back in the day on video. And I think this is what happens with streaming services now, when things like sort of don't do at cinema, they're kind of streaming services, suddenly people start to talk about it and it picks up. But yeah, Trick or Treat is definitely one of these films, and it's built up so much momentum. I think it's going to be fast become one of the big horror iconic films. I really do. Yeah, so there's a lot of stories in it. I don't really want to go into them because each little story has a twist or a turn that will ruin it for you. So I don't want to ruin you this film. But I will say that it's one of the most Halloweeny films you can get. There's a lot of Halloween lore in it. And it's like Sam is kind of the protector of the lore. And even though he's not a main character, he kind of just pops up here and there. He's kind of important because I do feel like he's the protector of Halloween lore. And it's a fantastic little film. And it's kind of like, there are some gruesome moments in it, there are some jump scare moments in it, but it's an easy film to watch. It's a nice film to watch. It's not too terrifying, it's not too gory. And it's more about the spirit of Halloween. It definitely is that Halloweeny spirit. Definitely watch Trick or Treat. You'll be pleasantly surprised, as I was. I was expecting some cheesy, rubbish little horror movie, and I got treated with one of the best movies I've seen in years. And it's now, every year on Halloween, I'll watch it. In fact, I only watched it last night. So grab yourself a copy of Trick or Treat. I know you can get it on Amazon, so it's definitely worth trying to get hold of that. Trick or Treat. Now will become the disagreements that you and me might have. See, I've been online, I've had a look at some people's top like 10, top 5 Halloween movies because I wanted to see what everyone else had said. And this one is 9 times out of 10 number 1. It's John Carpenter's Halloween. Yes, I didn't put it at number 1 like everyone else. Even though this movie is Halloween in general, I remember the first time I watched this movie, it was a Halloween night, it was on BBC Two, and I remember, the funny thing is, the most thing I remember is vividly, the guy that did the announcement at the beginning of the programme, so when the BBC Two sign appears, and normally they just go, and now we have a feature film, Halloween, but this guy, this night went, don't go out tonight because it's Halloween. And then the film started, and I've always remembered that. I thought it was fantastic the way he did it. So yeah, John Carpenter's Halloween is about a guy that escapes from a mental hospital and then decides to go and attack and kill a load of babysitters one night on Halloween. The thing about this movie is it's a really cheap, low budget movie. It's not a fantastic movie, as in like fantastical like special effects and all kinds of stuff like that. It's very cheaply made, but very well done. It uses atmosphere, it uses creepiness. Like Michael Myers, in the start, like the sort of first half of the film, is spotted during the daytime, just standing behind a bush. And the way he stands there and stares and then disappears again is more creepy than 9 out of 10 jump scares and things like that. It is so eerie. And the music, which was actually composed by John Carpenter himself, it's like a piano, like ding ding. I can't do music. I'm rubbish. I'm tone deaf. But the music sends a shiver through you, and it's very cleverly done. And it's just like wing sound that comes every so often as well, and that really gets you creeped out. So yeah, why Michael Myers stuck in a babysitter is you've got a guy called Loomis who's his doctor at the mental institution. He's trying to sort of stop him and try and find him and stop him. And he's a great character as well. I mean, he's played by a legendary actor whose name has literally just disappeared from my head, but he is amazing in pretty much everything he's ever been in. But in this, he's particularly amazing because you feel this guy is like, because they've picked such a good actor, you can feel this like the desperation in his voice. You can tell how much he hates this Michael Myers character, how much he desperately needs to stop him because he feels like this is pure evil incarnate. It's the devil, you know, to him. So he's on the warpath trying to stop him. You've got the sheriff and all the police officers trying to find and stop him. But this Michael Myers is literally systematically hunting down and killing the babysitters in one street, leading back to the house that he was actually born in. Definitely worth a watch. Will definitely creep you out. And even though it's a movie from the 1970s, it still holds up today. It really does. It's definitely it's up. The reason it's one of the best horror movies of all time is because it is one of the best horror movies of all time. Most people might even put it as the best horror movie of all time. It's definitely going to be in when I do my horror movie list, it's definitely going to be in there. But again, no spoilers, don't want to tell what happens at the end or anything, but there are many sequels to Halloween. Some are good, some are not so good at all, really. But they've recently revamped the franchise, and they basically so you sort of ignore some of the other ones and you go back from the first one. This one, the newer one's directly sequel from the first one, and they're actually very good. They've got Jamie Lee Curtis back, and it's all about her having the PTSD and sort of moving on from the experience she had back then. So definitely watch the first Halloween film. Then, if you want to go through those sequels, go through them, or you can just watch it on its own and leave it at that. But yeah, get out there, watch Halloween. It's just called Halloween. That's why it's a really good Halloween film. My number one. My first choice is just a bunch of Hocus Pocus. Yes, Hocus Pocus. The Legend movie. The children's Disney movie. The children's Disney movie. Yes. It is a children's Disney movie. So what's the story in this children's Disney movie? Well, the children's Disney movie story is that three witches murder a child, then get hung for murdering the child, and then cast a spell that they'll only come back when a virgin lights the black flame candle. Yeah, children's Disney movie. The fact they got away with it, I have no idea how they got away with that. But it is a fantastic movie, and it's probably the most Halloween a movie has ever been. It is pure Halloween from start to finish. There's the creepiness to it, there's the atmosphere, there's the costumes, there's the trick-or-treating going on, there's the bobbing for apples, there's all the Halloween tropes and traditions sort of hidden within the movie. You've got the fact there are witches, there are zombies, there are witches' cats, there is broomsticks. It is pure joy and pure Halloween. Yes, there is a lot of adult humour in it. The stuff that is in pantomimes that goes over your head. Yeah, so any adult watching it will snigger and laugh at some of the bits that happen in it, but the children will sit there sort of giggle and not really know what they're giggling at. Especially Sarah on the bus, the bus driver. That's a dodgy one. And a virgin lighting a black flame candle is kind of a hard one to explain to your children when they say to you, "What's a virgin?" as they're watching it, and you kind of shudder with fear. But yeah, it's one of the best Halloween movies ever because it brings me so much joy. I watched this when I was young. The reason I actually watched it was because the guy that plays Max was actually in this TV show that I was loving at the time called Erie, Indiana, if you remember that. Erie, Indiana was a show about a boy investigating weird things in his town that was called Erie. Like things like Bigfoot eating out of his garbage or trash or whatever you want to call it in America. And various ghostly goings on around his town. And I wanted to be Max. I love the paranormal stuff. You've got to remember X-Files had hit big at this point as well. So the idea of being someone that could investigate paranormal activities in my area was like my dream thing to be. So following this kid into this film, I was like, wow, it's the guy from Erie, Indiana, and now he's fighting witches. So that was the reason I sort of watched this film. And then after I watched it, I just fell in love with it. It is one of the best films. The witches are fantastic. The sense of humour, the sense of danger, sense of risk. Everything about this movie is just pure joy, pure Halloween. So, Hocus Pocus, it's on Disney Plus. So is the sequel, which is also quite good. I watched that with the whole family, and we laughed and we joked and we almost shed a tear as well. It's quite a good film, the sequel. Definitely one to watch. I think watch both of them, but the first one is gold. The first one is Halloween Pumpkin Gold. Definitely watch the first one. Get yourself Disney Plus, watch Hocus Pocus, and thoroughly enjoy it like the rest of the world has. I hope you like my little top 5 countdown there. I would have liked to have done more, but Halloween doesn't have as many films as Christmas does, so I might do a Christmas one, but that'll be like top 500 because there's 500 Christmas movies we can go through. But yeah, definitely get out and watch Hocus Pocus. Watch watch Hocus Pocus. Watch Halloween. Watch Trick or Treat. Watch E.T. and watch Ghost Watch. All are fantastic. All are worth watching. All get you pumped up for this lovely Halloween season that we're in. Now enjoy yourselves. Go out trick or treating, and I'll see you all very, very soon.